Hey guys, so today we are working with completing the square. Okay, so our objective today is we can use completing the square to solve quadratic equations. So this is 9-5, completing the square. So the first thing we need to do is turn a trinomial into a perfect square trinomial. Okay, remember a perfect square trinomial means if I reverse FOIL it or factor it, I get a binomial squared. Okay, so to do this, we take b, divide it by 2, and square it. Okay, remember standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so in this example, b is 6. So to complete the square, we take 6 divided by 2 and square it. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So to make this a perfect square trinomial, we get x squared plus 6x plus 9. And just to prove it to you, if I factor this, x and x makes x squared. Two numbers are multiplied to 9 and add to 6 are 3 and 3. Notice it's x plus 3 squared. Okay, so b divided by 2 and square it. Okay, your turn. Pause the video and try these problems. Okay, letter A. To make it a perfect square trinomial, take b, divide it by 2, and square it. So 12 divided by 2, squared. 6 squared. So c is 36. Okay, pause the video, try letter B. Okay, b is 8 divided by 2 squared gives us 4 squared, which equals 16. So in this case, to make it a perfect square, I plug in 16. Wait, so how does this actually help us solve an equation? Well, let's look at x squared minus 14x plus 16 equals 0. So unlike factoring or the other methods we've talked about, we want to get the constant on the other side. Okay, so we want to subtract the 16 to make it go to the other side. So I'm left with x squared minus 14x equals 16. Step 2. Now we're going to complete the square. So what I like to do is I like to write as x squared minus 14x plus a blank, because that's what I'm going to plug in, equals 16. Now to keep this equation true, if I add a blank on this side, I better balance the equation, so I need to add a blank on this side. Okay, from here, complete the square. We're going to take b divided by 2 and square it. What's negative 14 divided by 2? Well, that's negative 7. Negative 7 squared is a positive 49. So 49 goes into both of my blanks. Okay, once we have that, step 3, we rewrite it. Okay, so to rewrite it, here's a little bit of a shortcut. Square root of the first thing, square root of the box, and you always steal this sign. Okay, so x squared minus 14x plus 49 just reverse FOILs into x minus 7 quantity squared. Okay, square root of the first, square root of the bottom, sign in the middle. Okay, and that's going to equal 16 plus 49, or I'm sorry, that should be a negative 16, because we subtracted. Negative 16 plus 49 gives us 33. Okay, now here's a new thing. We're going to solve for x. Okay, this is an equation. So remember, we want to peel back the layers until we get x by itself. So the first thing I see is a square. How do I get rid of a square? Why don't we square root both sides? So square root and the square cancel, leaving me with x minus 7. Now the other side, square root of 33. That's a nasty decimal. I don't want to touch it. So I'm going to leave it as a square root of 33. Now here's the other important thing to remember. Square root of 33. Anytime I take a square root, I technically get two answers. So it's positive square root of 33 and negative square root of 33. Okay? Okay, I still got to solve for x. Is x by itself? No, it's got this minus 7, so I just need to add 7 to both sides. So x equals 7 plus or minus square root of 33. Notice I still get two answers. First answer is 7 plus the square root of 33. Second answer is 7 minus the square root of 33. Okay, but you can leave it just like what is written in red. Okay, your turn. Pause the video and try each of these problems, please. Okay, letter A, first thing I'm going to do is get the constant on the other side. And then I'm going to add my boxes. How do I decide what goes in the box? Well, I take b and divide it by 2. So 10 divided by 2 squared gives me 5 squared, which is 25. Okay, so 25 goes into both of those boxes. Okay, now we need to rewrite. So remember, parentheses, square root here, steal this sign, quantity squared, equals 9 plus 25 is 34. Okay, now we're just peeling back those layers till we get x by itself. First thing I do is get rid of the square, so I square root both sides. So x plus 5 equals, again, remember 2 answers, positive and negative, square root of 34. One more step to get x by itself, just subtract 5. X equals negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 34. Okay, pause the video, try letter B. The first thing I need to do is get the constant on the other side. Okay, and then I automatically add my box. Okay, so to get the box, we take b divided by 2 and square it. Negative times a negative gives me a positive. Okay, so it's always positive inside your box. Okay, so from here, now we rewrite. Square root of the first, steal the sign in the middle, square root of the last, quantity squared. That equals 22. Okay, peel back our layers till we get x by itself. X minus 4 equals positive and negative square root of 22. One more step to get x by itself, add 4 to both sides. So x equals 4 plus or minus the square root of 22. Right, example 3. We want to complete the square, but this time it's going to be a little bit different. Okay, we're not going to have a plain old x squared. We're going to have an x in front of it. Okay, so a hedge maze has a 2-yard wide walkway around it. Okay, what are the dimensions of the maze? Okay, so the length of the maze is twice as long as the width. So this part right here is my length. That's 2w. Okay, and then this part right here would be w. Okay, but then you got to remember, I've got this 2-yard walkway. So I got 2 here, and 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. So really, to find my area, I need to really think about this. Okay, my length is 2w, but I've got 2 here and 2 here. So that's 2w plus 4. My width, again, is w, but I've got 2 here and 2 here. So w plus 4. Okay, and I can actually go ahead and replace a because I know what area is. Area is 5616. Okay, so just like we did in chapter 8, we need to FOIL. So 5616 equals, okay, first times first, you get 2w squared. Outside's 8w. Inside's 4w. Last times last, 16. So 5616 equals 2w squared plus 12w plus 16. Okay, everyone okay so far? Okay, so let's go ahead and start completing the square. Remember, I want to get the constant by itself, or on the other side. So 5600 equals 2w squared plus 12w. Now, if I look at this, oh, I see a GCF there. Okay, what's my GCF? Well, the GCF is 2. So really, I can make this 5600 equals 2 times w squared plus 6w. Okay, I don't like that 2 hanging around, so let's go ahead and get rid of it. Let's divide both sides by 2. Okay, so 5600 divided by 2 is 2800 equals w squared plus 6w. So from here now, since w is by itself, we can complete the square. So I'm going to make it 2800 plus the box equals w squared plus 6w plus the box. What goes into my box? Well, I take b divided by 2 and square it. Okay, that gives us 9. Okay, time to rewrite. So 2809 equals W, steal the sign, square root of box. Okay, so from here, let's go ahead and square root. Oh, if I square root 2809, that's actually a pretty number this time. The square root of 2809 is 53. But again, remember, how many answers should I have? I should have 2, so plus or minus. Remember, square root and square cancel, so W plus 3. Okay, how do I get W by itself? Obviously, we subtract 3 from both sides. So W equals -3 plus or minus 53. So from here, we can actually get numbers, okay? We don't have a square root, so these actually mean something to us. So we get 2 problems, -3 plus 53 and -3 minus 53. -3 plus 53 gives me 50, and -3 minus 53 gives me -56. Now remember, W is the width of my walkway. So does it make sense to have a negative value for my width? Absolutely not. Okay, so this is not going to be an answer. 50 is our actual answer. Okay, so if it asks for the dimensions of the maze, well, we know the W is 50. So if I go back up here, W equals 50, 2W then would be 2 times 50, or 100. So my maze, it's 50 by 100. Okay, pause the video and try this problem, please. Okay, notice this time our walkway is only 1. Okay, so we're 1 on each side. So again, area equals length times width. So 5616 equals W and W, 2W plus 2 times W plus 2. Okay, if I FOIL, I'm going to skip a few steps here for the sake of time. Okay, you should be able to do all of this. Okay, now we can start completing the square. So I want to subtract 4 on both sides. Okay, so from here I can add my boxes now. So 5612 plus box equals 2W squared plus 6W plus box. And how do I know what goes in a box? Take B divided by 2 and square it. Okay, so we get 56, let's see, 12 plus 9 is 21. Oh, I messed up. Don't do that yet. Okay, notice there's a GCF, so we need to take care of that first. Okay, so divide both sides by 2. We get 2806. Okay, now you can go ahead and complete the square. Okay, B divided by 2 squared gives me 9/4, which if you would like as a decimal is 2.25. Okay, this one's a little nasty now. So we got 2808.25 equals, go ahead and rewrite, square root of the first, steal the sign, square root of the second, squared. Okay, peel back my layers. I'm going to go ahead and make this a decimal, square root of 2808.25, just because it's not going to mean much to us. We get approximately 53 here. I got 52.99. So I'm going to just say plus or minus 53. Okay, and then to solve, subtract 1.5. Negative 1.5 plus or minus 53 is equal to W. Okay, again, set up 2 problems. Negative 1.5 plus 53, negative 1.5 minus 53. Obviously, this one's going to give me a negative, so I don't even care. So this one would be 51.5. So here my width is 51.5. All right, so this is the cool part now. We can actually go from standard form to vertex form if we're thinking about these parabolas very easily. Okay, we're just going to complete the square. Okay, so notice this is y equals now instead of 0. Okay, so I'm actually going to keep the box of the 11 on the same side because we want vertex form a times x minus h quantity squared plus k. So let's complete the square. Again, I'm focusing on this side. So x squared minus 8x, but I'm going to put my box in there. And then we still got that plus 11 hanging around. Okay, now here's something to think about. If I add box on this side, can I add another box? No, that doesn't keep it balanced. So if I add a box on one side, that same side, I would have to subtract the box. Okay, again, think about that equation. It has to be balanced. Okay, and it's still y equals. So here's my b value. So again, we're going to divide by 2. So negative 8 divided by 2 squared gives me positive 16. So I'm going to add 16 and I'm going to subtract 16. So now we rewrite y equals square root, steal the sign, square root of box, and then 11 minus 16 gives me a negative 5. Oh, look at that. Now we are in vertex form. Okay, simple as that. Wait, your turn. Try these problems, please. So letter A, y equals x squared minus 2x plus box plus 3. And again, keep it balanced, so we need to minus the box. B divided by 2 squared gives me a negative 1 squared. Negative times a negative is a positive. Okay, so now we rewrite. Square root here. Steal the sign. Square root here. Quantity squared. 3 minus 1 is a positive 2. And there's the vertex form. Okay, pause the video, try letter B. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and add my boxes. Okay, what goes in the box? Well, b divided by 2 squared. We get 9. Okay, time to rewrite. So y equals, again, square root, steal the sign, square root, squared, plus 25 minus 9 is 16. And there's vertex form. Okay, one more. All right, vertex form when a does not equal 1. Okay, so we're going to have a number out in front. So, same process. Okay, so let's go ahead and rewrite it. But, oh, we should be noticing there is a GCF here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull out that negative 5. Okay, t squared minus 16t plus 9,000 divided by 5. Okay. Actually, ignore that. I'm going to close my parenthesis and then put the 9,000 right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and add our box. Okay, now take a second and look here. I'm technically, if I distribute this, am doing a negative 5 times the box. So how do I cancel a negative 5 box? Well, I knew that it would add 5 box. Okay, so you really got to think and be careful here. All right, so now we can go ahead and do our box. So we're going to take negative 16 divided by 2 and square it. We're going to put a 64 inside the box. Okay, so go ahead and rewrite. square root, steal the sign, square root, plus, oh, now we got to do 9,000 plus 5 times 64. Well, 5 times 64 is 320, so this gives me 9,320. And oh, look, we're done. There is vertex form. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and skip that one just for the sake of time. That's completing the square. Okay, I'm mostly focused on when x squared has 1 in front of it. You'll do more of the number in front of it in Algebra 2. Right, so homework tonight, you're on page 387. You can do problems 16, 17, 20 through 40 even. Please come prepared with questions. See you guys.